Bhagavad Gita Overview Part 2. So, Part 2 goes from chapter 7 to 12. So far in Part 1, Krishna has explained to Arjuna about the soul and karma and meditation, but Arjuna just doesn't see how to attain Krishna by meditation. So in this part, Part 2, Krishna takes Arjuna's attention away from the jiva and towards himself, Krishna. And he introduces himself. He teaches us more about him. So the second part is all about Krishna. The first part, chapters 1 to 6, is the introduction to the Bhagavad Gita. And the third part, chapters 13 to 18, is the conclusion of the Gita. So the second part, 7 to 12, chapter 7 to 12, is like the essence, it's the very middle of the Gita. So Krishna starts by describing the material nature and how the whole entire universe is dependent on him. Krishna says, "O conqueror of wealth, there is no truth superior to me. Everything rests upon me as pearls are strung on a thread." Then Krishna, explains about the three modes of nature. What are they? Goodness, passion, and ignorance. And all our actions are influenced by different mixtures of the three modes. And they bind us to the material world, and they strengthen material attachments. So how do we become free of the control of these three modes? Krishna says that we just have to surrender unto him. Because if we're under the control of the three modes, we will be free if we surrender unto Krishna, because the three modes are under the control of Krishna. So then Krishna explains how whatever you think about at the time of death, that you will attain. But we can't just say, I can do whatever I want now, and I can just meditate on Krishna at the time of death. Prabhupada said that our last thought at the time of death is a reflection of the thing that is most important to us, that we think about the most. Because the time of death is one of the most crucial and important times of our life. So if a man loves his dog, if he has a dog, then at his last moment, he'll be thinking about what his dog is doing or something. But the devotee who is always absorbed in Krishna, his last thought will be Krishna no matter what situation he's in, no matter how sudden death comes. So, if we're absorbed in Krishna, we'll go to the spiritual world. But if our heart is somewhere else, then it will be otherwise. Krishna says, "Those who worship the demigods will take birth among the demigods. Those who worship the ancestors go to the ancestors. Those who worship ghosts and spirits will take birth among such beings, and those who worship me will come to me." He tells us that only those who surrender unto him can reach him. He also explains to Arjuna about bhakti, which is pure love for him. He tells Arjuna how bhakti is so simple. Krishna says, if one offers me with love and devotion, a leaf, flower, fruit, or water, I will accept it. So, in this part 2, Krishna introduces himself. He tells us more about himself. And he tells us how we can see him in everything. He says, "Of all creations, I am the beginning and the end, and also the middle, O Arjuna. Of all sciences, I am the spiritual science of the self. And among logicians, I am the conclusive truth." So, after hearing all this, Arjuna really wants to know more. He actually wants to see the universal form that Krishna has talked about. So Krishna gives Arjuna the transcendental eyes to see that universal form. And Arjuna sees that form with so many heads and jewels and arms and legs and bracelets. And that form is so effulgent and shining. But instead of enjoying this sight, Arjuna is trembling with fear by seeing this great form of Krishna. And so he begs Krishna to return to his sweet, beautiful two-armed form. And when Krishna does that, Arjuna begs Krishna for forgiveness for any offenses he had done. Arjuna says, "I only saw you as a friend. I didn't know that you were such a great personality. Please forgive me. I was under illusion." And Finally, Arjuna asks Krishna which is better, to worship the impersonal form of the Lord or to serve Krishna with our hearts full of bhakti. And Krishna makes it clear that with both paths one can attain him, but the path of devotional service is much more easier and enjoyable, and the path of impersonalism is full of obstacles. By meditating on Krishna, the devotee only has to depend on Krishna, just take hold of Krishna's lotus feet. Krishna also describes some of the qualities of his devotee who always takes shelter of him. Krishna explains the qualities of the devotees who are dear to him, very dear to him, and very, very dear to him. Krishna says, "He for whom no one is put into difficulty, who is not disturbed by anyone, who is equipoised in happiness and distress, fear and anxiety, is very dear to me." He mentions many more qualities like he's equal in heat and cold, happiness and distress, honor and dishonor. Such a person is very dear to Krishna. And Krishna says, those who follow this imperishable path of devotional service and who completely engage themselves with faith, making me the supreme goal, are very, very dear to me. So we learn that Krishna is not a great, faraway God. He's a very sweet, intimate, close person. So, now that Krishna has taught Arjuna about the identity of the soul and karma and meditation and has shown him the universal form, Krishna will explain in part 3, which is chapters 13 to 18, how the jiva, the Lord, and the material world all fit together. Hare Krishna.